We went to the moon half a century ago, but this time the plan is very different. NASA's Artemis program is not just about going back, it is about staying. What does Artemis actually look like in hardware, missions, and politics, and why now? In this Beyond Delta V deep dive, we will unpack the new moon architecture piece by piece. By the end, you will understand how Artemis could reshape human presence in deep space. Artemis was announced in the late 2010s as the United States' plan to return humans to the moon. The name deliberately echoes Apollo, but Artemis, the twin sister, signals a more inclusive, sustainable approach. Behind Artemis sit earlier cancelled efforts like the Constellation program and the Journey to Mars concepts. In 2019, the US administration ordered a crewed landing at the lunar South Pole by 2024. Technical budget and legal realities pushed that target back to no earlier than the middle of this decade. So what exactly is this program trying to achieve beyond a single dramatic landing? At its core, Artemis aims to land the first woman and the first person of color on the moon. But NASA is explicit that this will not be another flags and footprints moment. The vision is a sustained lunar presence with habitats, rovers, power systems, and regular crew rotations. Artemis also treats the moon as a laboratory for science and a dress rehearsal for Mars. Long-duration stays will test life support, radiation protection, and operations far from Earth. To get there, NASA is fielding a new but controversial moon architecture, built around the Space Launch System. SLS is a heavy lift rocket using shuttle-derived solid boosters and RS-25 engines on its core stage. It can send the Orion spacecraft and crew directly into lunar orbit in a single launch. Orion itself is a deep space crew capsule with a European-built service module providing power and propulsion. Designed for 4 astronauts, Orion includes advanced avionics and radiation-hardened systems for multi-week missions. Beyond Orion, Artemis adds Gateway, a small space station in a near-rectilinear halo orbit around the moon. Gateway will act like a lunar train station, a staging point, laboratory, and testbed for long-duration habitation. The final major piece is the human landing system, the vehicle that actually takes crews down to the surface. NASA chose SpaceX to provide the first HLS, a lunar-optimized Starship variant without heat shield or aerodynamic fins. This Starship HLS will be refueled in Earth orbit by multiple tanker flights before heading to lunar orbit. Once there, it docks with Orion or Gateway, then ferries astronauts to and from the surface. For later missions, NASA also selected a Blue Origin-led team to build a second Blue Moon lander. Multiple providers are meant to add redundancy, competition, and political resilience to the landing architecture. On the surface, Artemis imagines a base camp of habitats, rovers, solar arrays, and eventually nuclear power units. Artemis I already flew in 2022, an uncrewed test of SLS and Orion around the moon. The spacecraft traveled about 1.4 million miles, validating navigation, communications, and its critical heat shield. Artemis II will be the first crewed flight, sending 4 astronauts, including a Canadian, around the moon on a free return. They will not land, but will stress test life support, communications, and deep space operations with humans on board. Artemis III is planned as the first South Pole landing, using Orion and Starship HLS working together. The crew will spend several days exploring permanently shadowed regions and sampling potential water ice deposits. Artemis IV and later missions add Gateway, more cargo landers, and longer stays with international astronauts rotating through. All of this hardware is aimed squarely at the lunar South Pole, a region unlike the Apollo equatorial sites. Some crater floors there never see sunlight, reaching temperatures below -200 degrees Celsius. Radar and orbital data suggest these cold traps may hold hundreds of millions to billions of tons of water ice. Nearby ridges enjoy near-constant sunlight, making them ideal spots for solar power farms feeding a base below. Water is the key resource. It can be split into oxygen for breathing and hydrogen for rocket propellant. If in situ resource utilization works, the moon could refuel spacecraft, opening a true cislunar economy. Artemis is not just NASA hardware, it is deeply tied to commercial and international partnerships. SpaceX won the first HLS contract worth about $2.9 billion for its Starship lander. Blue Origin and partners later secured a multi-billion-dollar contract to provide a competing lander for later missions. Beyond landers, companies are building spacesuits, cargo landers, communications relays, and surface power systems. Internationally, the Artemis Accords set principles for peaceful cooperative exploration and resource use on the Moon and beyond. More than 30 nations have signed on, including major space players in Europe, Japan, and Canada. Together, they will contribute modules for gateway robotics, logistics, and astronauts for future lunar crews. On the surface, Artemis science will focus heavily on understanding lunar water and geology at the South Pole. Robotic scouts will map ice deposits, measure temperatures, and test drilling techniques before humans arrive. Astronauts will perform EVAs, collecting core samples, setting up seismometers, and deploying telescopes in the dark. Inside habitats, crews will study radiation biology, dusty regolith effects, and closed-loop life support systems. All of this experience feeds directly into planning multi-year missions to Mars, where resupply is far harder. But Artemis also faces serious challenges, from technical risk to budgets, politics, and schedule pressure. Independent estimates put total program costs through the mid-2020s above $90 billion. Each SLS launch is often quoted at $2 to $4 billion, raising questions about sustainability. Critics argue that commercial rockets like Starship could eventually do the job cheaper and more frequently. Defenders counter that SLS and Orion are already flying and provide government-controlled access to deep space. Technical hurdles remain too, from perfecting Orion heat shield performance to proving Starship orbital refueling at scale. Every delay compounds schedule risk for downstream missions and increases pressure on budgets and political support. There are safety concerns as well, since lunar missions operate far beyond quick rescue range in deep space. Despite the risks, Artemis carries enormous potential benefits for science, industry, and geopolitics in cislunar space. Building infrastructure around the Moon could unlock new markets in communications, navigation, manufacturing, and tourism. Technologies developed for Artemis, from advanced propulsion to autonomous robotics, are likely to spill over into Earth industries. Strategically, the program signals that the United States and partners intend to shape rules of the lunar game. Competing projects from China and Russia envision their own bases, so Artemis is partly cooperation and partly competition. For the Artemis generation, though, the most important impact may be inspiration and opportunity. STEM outreach programs tie student experiments to Artemis missions and highlight diverse role models in spaceflight. Kids today could grow up to design habitats, pilot landers, or even take commercial flights to lunar orbit. So where does this leave us as Artemis missions inch closer to reality? We have a clear roadmap: crewed test flights, first landings, a growing gateway, and a path toward a base camp. We also have unresolved debates over cost commercial alternatives and how quickly to pivot from Moon to Mars. If Artemis succeeds, it could mark the moment humanity truly becomes a multi-world species. If it stumbles too hard, it may delay that future by decades and shift leadership elsewhere. On Beyond Delta V, we will keep following every milestone, from SLS upgrades to Starship refueling demos and gateway construction. Tell us in the comments, should we focus on building up the Moon or push straight for Mars? Would you personally volunteer for a multi-week stay on the lunar surface, knowing the risks? If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe to Beyond Delta V for more deep dives into modern spaceflight. Check out our upcoming episodes on Starship, HLS refueling, gateway design, and the science of lunar water ice. The next era of Moon exploration is about to begin, and it is far more ambitious than Apollo ever was.